Hello, this is Matt Moser, a partner with Alchemy Solutions, and what I wanted to cover with you today was the COBOL structure for connecting to a database within Fujitsu COBOL for .NET. In this particular case, I've already created a program. We'll kind of cover the sections and the information you need. I've named this program DB Connect to SQL Server because that's the main area we'll focus on. The actual connection can be made anywhere by using the app.config file. By anywhere, you have SQL Server, Microsoft Access Database, there's an ODBC connection, strings, and so forth. And we'll cover that shortly in a following tutorial. But this one will focus strictly on the COBOL structure for making the connection. So as we come along here, I always like to keep a couple variables for storing information and returning information. This particular program is a console application, so I always check for my any key. Coming along here, these two variables are for SQL Server and for Microsoft Access Database. This is what is returned back to you as far as your codes go to tell you whether or not you had a valid connect. And we'll kind of keep on going here. In this particular case, we're defining the host variables. Make sure your execute SQL statements are within column B, and I'll kind of show that over here. If they're not, it doesn't work real well. So by not working real well, you're going to have to adjust it to go to column B. You put your variables that are associated for your SQL within your SQL begin declare and your SQL end declare, and those variables happen to be what you would want returned from a SQL select, for example. The SQL state, which matches back up again with your SQL instructions. So for example, this WS connection OK to MDB, the SQL state would wind up being 000 if you were connecting to a Microsoft Access database successfully. And we come along a little bit further and we have a SQL message, which can also be returned back through SQL. This data number and this cursor status and so forth and status open will be used later on in the program in order to check whether or not the database is open. We have to declare a cursor. Again, we have an execute SQL declare and an end execute that are in column B. You always need to have this declare for your cursor, for your selects and so forth. In this particular case, I have this commented out, but what you would wind up doing is you would wind up keeping that. You would want a statement which will refer back to the default setup, which we will again look at, which will appear inside an app config file, which we'll show you here shortly. But anyway, this execute SQL connect to default and execute will actually be the declaring statement to connect you to the database. As you can tell, as we had our statement before, Microsoft Access returns a different successful statement or return code than Microsoft SQL Server. One is 000, the other is 1000. And so this may not be the best logic in the world, but it's the one we're going to use for this particular tutorial. So if our connection to SQL Server is okay, our connection to the MDB is okay, we're going to say connection was okay, and then wrap up. I have a close to the database. If the status was open, it closes the cursor, and then here's my famous 9100 press any key. So we'll wrap up for now, and that is our the basic pieces that you need in order to be able to connect to a database. Our next tutorial will encompass the app.config file as well as our COBOL runtime environment setup utility and how the two relate in order to get you going to connect to your database. For now, this is Matt Moser, an Alchemy partner. I can be reached at Matt, M-A-T-T_Moser at mosersoft.com, or you can always reach out to the wonderful people of Alchemy. All right, take care, and we'll talk to you in another tutorial. Bye.